The book Contesting Masculinities and Women's Agency in Kashmir has recently been published by Rowman and Littlefield. And this book broadly explores two questions through the case of Kashmir. The first is about militarized masculinities, how they are produced, enacted and performed in conflict situations. And the second is about how and where do we situate women's agency within the politics of these competing militarized masculinities. So feminist scholars have extensively written about the importance of a gender analysis in conflict situations in order to understand the structures of power and how certain gender narratives also reinforce power dynamics. So building upon that feminist literature in international relations and combining it with the critical scholarship on men and masculinities, the book argues that women's roles, positions and agency cannot be studied in isolation from the larger gender ecosystem that also influences men and masculinities. The book also challenges the essentialized view that masculinities are fixed and only associated with violence in conflict situations. And through various examples, the book shows that there is fluidity in the meanings of masculinities attached to both the state, military and militancy over a period of time. The book is a result of a long ethnographic field research that I conducted for my PhD thesis in several districts of the Kashmir Valley between 2013 and 2016. It uses qualitative research methods such as interviews of diverse stakeholders in the conflict to understand the gender dimension more closely. I also use different forms of audio, visual and other media sources, folk songs, poetry on the graves, slogans in the army camps and other such sources are also used in the book. And considering the very sensitive nature of the Kashmir conflict, I have spent quite a few pages in the book reflecting on my own positionality as a field researcher and also the ethical dilemmas and challenges that one faces in conducting research in such sensitive areas, and I do so in the hope of providing some form of methodological transparency in the book. So the book's contribution is not just to show the multiplicity and fluidity of meanings of masculinities attached to the state, military and militancy in conflict situations, but also to highlight that a more nuanced approach to gender in conflict situations can only be achieved by combining both masculinity studies and feminism, because both of them do not operate in isolation from each other and both are required to uncover the structures of power and gendered hierarchies that operate both implicitly and explicitly. One of the drawbacks of the book is that it heavily relies on theoretical frameworks of masculinities that are developed in other conflict-affected contexts, and although the book makes a point that local cultural context and religious context are required to understand how masculinities are produced in different conflict-affected societies. But yeah, I hope that the book initiates certain conversations around the diversification of masculinity studies in conflicts, especially in Global South and more particularly in South Asia.